Good evening and welcome to day 32. So, I've talked with you all a lot about the changes that can be made in the game in its current state. As I'm looking back on the last previous 31 days, I've noticed that I'm starting to add on to existing processes and features within Godot and the game engine and I'm becoming more comfortable with those. I started digging into what are some things that I can add into the game to really help elevate my understanding of how to make the game development process better and also add additional observability. One recommendation that I ran across was creating a debug overlay. So this really did come from a conversation that I had with our good friend ChatGPT. And it provided a nice little path that I was taking a look at for the next possible 10 days. But first, I'm going to start with this debug overlay. Now, you may be asking yourself, what could the debug overlay be? Well, let me show you, because I have a start of maybe some of the different sections of information that I'd really like to get out there. So, for instance, we have the level. So when somebody selects the level, there's some base information that can come with that, such as the individual map that's coming with it, the placement of the tower and the spawner. Now, that's not as exciting as really talking about the information like the waves. So when we're looking at the debug overlay, the most beneficial information is going to be, tell me how this level from a progression standpoint is going to be different from my next. So this is going to present information such as how many waves are in this level, how many enemies and what types of enemies are going to be in each wave, and what wave are we on. Just giving some of the high level information out. Next one being the base, that's really going to get into what state is the base in. Let's go back to the level real quick. The level will be able to also provide the state. So are we on wave 2, but we're in the planning state? 2, but we're also in spawning, so we have enemies spawning. So it's going to be able to provide some of that information. The base state is going to be what state is that in? It should be able to show the same. It will show the same information as we have up in the top left, the amount of health. But some of the other information that it might display, I guess that's really going to have to be thinking about that. Maybe the specific state it's in, such as, is it idle or was it just attacked? About who the last one to attack it was, when damage occurred. So going over some of those things. Next is the current wave. So each wave, again, has its own set of challenges. In the current wave, what are we expecting? In the current wave, do we have more enemies that are going to be spawned? In the current wave, which enemies have been spawned and have been destroyed? The next one, which is enemies, are really going to talk about what's on the board right now. What are the enemies that are out there? How much health do they have? So that, if it's an unpaused game, should have movement. The next one being towers, the towers that are on the board, the levels of each tower, and the state. Are they targeting an enemy? And currently in my mind, the last one being the economy. There are different actions that can be taken from towers, more specifically destroying the enemy, to grow the economy. So what has happened to grow the economy. Did we defeat an enemy? Which enemy was defeated? How much did we get? My future plans on this is that enemies will have different payouts for defeating them. Maybe at the end of each wave, there can be like a reward of currency that's given. Or at the beginning of not first waves or whatever. So just taking a look at how I can provide this information, something that can be easily attained without having to go back to the Godot editor and actually try to extract it from there. So I may be really thinking at a different level that may not really be beneficial. And thinking about this is really where I'm going to be ending the day and getting a list of different things. But I wanted to share really that is my next step. So what I'll be doing is I have multiple global scripts that are running and that are managing a number of these things. Should be managing them all. And if there's something that's not managing these things, I will be moving it over there, so there will be some refactoring. I'll be doing some additional refactoring as well, so that as events occur, such as enemies are being defeated, getting destroyed, or a base is getting damaged, or currencies being added, I want to get more information about those without affecting the existing game. So I will be increasing the number of signals that are getting thrown around for debugging and auditing purposes. So as these things occur, I will be listening for the signal. So that allows me to completely pull the debugging steps out away from the existing logic. I don't want anything to be affected. I do need to add additional information that's being passed down to these, such as why did we get more money, or why do we have less? So there's just going to be a little information that's being passed back and forth, and in some of the cases it's going to be passing a reference to the calling, the node that's calling, the script that's calling, so that there can just be that traceability. So anyways, expect that in at least more getting started tomorrow. But that is my update for day 32. I think this is going to be great. I think this is going to be an awesome thing to play around with and to have in forthcoming days as I'm trying to continue building this out, and on any future games as I'm trying to build those out. So again, I can have up the play, the game as it's playing, and not have to go back and forth to the editor. So are there valuable things that can happen between the two? And of course, remove print statements. Why do I need so many print statements? I print out all the time. But it's like in web development, adding console logs everywhere. I shouldn't have to do that. I can debug in the code, but I shouldn't have to rely on print statements. I should be able to see it here. So anyways, that's day 32 in a nutshell. So I hope at least this concept, this thought was beneficial for you. And if you have any feedback or any advice that you'd like to throw on this, please do leave me a comment. Please provide me with any information that you can. I love this idea, and I'd like to know how you've solved this in any of your games in the past. So I hope you have a wonderful day. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.